All right, I get this asked all the time, and it's time to nip it in the butt. Can I put a 5.9 Cummins in a half ton? And I'm going to tell you no, and you're going to tell me, yeah, I can. I know somebody who's done it. Let's start with the basics. A half-ton truck usually has, let's say, a 5-liter engine in it. That's an average, but whether it's Ford, Dodge, or Chevy. Now, that probably weighs somewhere around 500, 600 pounds dressed, maybe. 5.9 Cummins dressed with liquids in it is 1,270 pounds. So you're almost more, like you're at least doubling it, if not more, the amount of weight that you're putting in the front end. Now, there's lots of trucks out there that have plows on it, and if you think of a plow that weighs a couple hundred pounds and you hang it out a couple feet in front of the truck, well, you're adding about 400 or 500 pounds to the front of your suspension as well. Very true. But you don't have the plow on there year-round either. It's when it snows, and the thing with the Cummins is it's always there. It's always heavy. Now, a half-ton also has smaller transmissions. Some of them don't even have extra coolers on the front, unless you say you get like a Z71 package or a tow option. So the amount of torque that the Cummins is able to put out, the transmission is not going to handle it. Also, you're going from an 8-bolt front and rear axle to a 6-bolt. Smaller differentials, smaller brakes. All of that is a giant factor into saying it's not really feasible to put a 5.9 Cummins in your truck. Is it possible? Absolutely. If you upgrade your suspension, if you're not worried, if you're not planning on tuning it, or you're not worried about twisting things, then yes, put a 5.9 in your half ton. Is it a sentimental reason? I've had this truck since new, I've babied it, I know everything about it, but it's just not enough out of that little gasser, and I want to have that diesel, but I don't want to blow 30 grand on a new truck, then yes. But financially, does it make sense? Probably not. And if you ask me, Rich, how much would it cost me to put a 5.9 in my half ton? First off, I can't respond to every email. I get so many emails every day. I can't respond to them. If you have a really serious question, you can hit me up on the live chat or on Patreon. But sending me emails on quotes, I'm pretty well booked for the year, so I'm not quoting other jobs because I just don't have enough time. I'd rather be spending it with my family or just working on shops and in the shop and on projects that I already have. So, can you put it in a half ton? No. There is a big difference in the frames, and that is the main structure of your truck as a whole. If you've ever tried to attach a plow that was meant for a half ton onto a 3/4 or vice versa, you'll know that the brackets don't fit. The frames are physically larger. They're also thicker steel. And even if size of steel doesn't actually matter, it's how much weight it has, because there's actually different tensile strengths of frames as well. That's getting into the itty bitty and the nitty gritty, and you guys are probably gonna rip me apart on that one, but there is a difference between the half ton and the 3/4 frames. There might not be a difference between the 3/4 and the 1-ton frames. It could just be more leaf springs in the back, depending on who makes the truck. But I'm just gonna flat out say, should I do it? No. Can you do it? Probably. But is it worth it? Still, no. Drive the truck. The money that it will cost to make that 5.9 work, you'll never get it back in fuel. You're going to have downtime on the truck a lot longer than if you were to do a straight swap into a 3/4 ton. And financially, just drive the truck into the ground. If you got to tow something, tow it. Put a cooler on the tranny. And when it blows up, then go out and buy yourself a decent truck. So I hope that answers your questions. We were hoping to have some Cummins in the background so I could point at them and say, look how big they are, but I put an ad up and somebody came and cleared me out. So I have no Cummins on the shelf right now. I got one truck out back. But if you have any questions, hit up the Facebook group. There'll be guys to help you there, whether you should, what you should do. I put the 4BT in my Tahoe, which was a really nice fit. It weighs about 750 pounds, which is still a couple hundred pounds more than the 5.3 that was in there, but it was able to handle that no problem. If you want to tow anything, I've had customers want me to put a 4BT into a Suburban, a half-ton Suburban, and that's a lot of weight you got to move around. My short Tahoe was 7,000 pounds, and I think the extended version is closer to 8,500 pounds. So once you load that up with that much more people and gear that you're able to carry in that 4BT is kind of it's kind of in the middle. It's not big enough to move that Suburban, and it's not strong enough. So there was a really nice half-ton Suburban at Tuesley that I'd love to put a 5.9 in, but it's got the half-ton frame. And I'd love to put the 4BT in it, but it's just too heavy to make it like a really nice, comfortable driving vehicle. Okay, so the Dodges and the Fords have coil spring front suspension, while the GMs have torsion bars. Now, if you're thinking about converting a Dodge gas to a diesel, I would just say, why not just go out and buy a diesel? They already come with diesels, and you go do all that work to put a 5.9 into a half-ton, and nobody even knows it because you're already driving a Dodge that has a Cummins in it. To me, it doesn't have the wow factor, for the same reason that I didn't go to the trouble of putting a Duramax in my Silverado, because they already come with Duramaxes. So put a Cummins in it, that way you get a lot more attention. The Fords, the half-tons with the coilovers, you could very well just put a bigger coil in the front and probably get away with it. Now the GMs, the torsion bars for the half-tons are a lot shorter and skinnier than the 3/4 tons. Now I've put about 60,000 kilometers on the Tahoe, 70,000 kilometers now, with the half-ton torsion bars and the 750-pound engine on it. I've never had any issues with the torsion bars, even though if you look at all the pictures, the weight of the front of the truck is crouched pretty low, and that's with the keys cranked all the way up. So I can't raise them anymore without getting different keys to it, and I think that's the point where you start stressing the torsion bars, that you're getting into snapping them. And somebody who's done it before, he had a black one, he had compounds on it. He's told me that he snapped 2 sets of half-inch torsion bars, probably because he put different keys on it, jacked it up, that he had to go and put the torsion bars on from a 3/4 ton. Now that in turn is that much more work. Longer bars, you got to move that whole mount back. It's definitely possible. I'm just saying it costs that much more time and money to do. I've had the 5.9 in my Silverado now for 5 or 6 years, 6 or 7 years, somewhere around there. I'm not sure how many kilometers I put on it, but I've had no issues with the 3/4 ton torsion bars on it. So I cranked them all the way up to the top. I've got 35-inch tires on it, and they just scrape the wheel wells in a spot when you back up, not when you're going forward. And I have an inch or an inch and a half lift at the back. Nothing crazy, just some blocks under it, and it's handling it fine. But one more thing to consider when you're trying to do it in a half-ton: all that weight has to go somewhere. All right, so I had an odd question too, and this doesn't come up often, but somebody asked me, can I put an Allison 6-speed behind a 4BT? And I'm scratching my head going, why? Do you guys really have that much extra expendable income and time that you want to do it? There's no reason to put a massive 1-ton truck behind an engine that stock puts out 105 horsepower. Now you got to keep in mind that if you need to upgrade your transmission to handle the now extra torque and power of the engine, those transmissions are larger as well. So you can't just stick an Allison in a half-ton because you've got a 4BT. A 4BT can only move a half-ton. Now you got this massive transmission. There's one back there. It's literally probably weighs twice as much as what the 4L60 does, and the bell housing on that is massive. So now you got to do a body lift, or do you have to sledgehammer the crap out of your firewall, or cut it out and make a doghouse? All of that stuff, it's completely doable. But why? I don't understand. So 4BT and a half-ton can only move so much weight. So why would you put a massive transmission behind it? If you put a giant engine in the front of a 5.9 and a half-ton, now you need to upgrade your transmission and your diff and your drive shaft. Why? I don't get it. Okay, so you gotta ask yourself, what are you actually after? Are you after a tow rig and you want it in a half ton for some reason? If you want a tow rig, then you need a 6 or 8 cylinder and you need a 3/4 ton because you need bigger brakes, you need bigger transmission, you need bigger drive shaft just to stay safe. Now, if you're after fuel economy, it's not just Cummins that makes a diesel engine. You gotta understand that there's lots of good diesels out there that would make a perfect fit for your 1/4 or half ton truck. Shifted Interest boys put a reefer unit, a little Kubota diesel, into a Ranger. And not that that doesn't have its own slew of problems of mating it to the transmission and getting the right amount of power at it, but there's more than just Cummins out there. Isuzu makes good engines, Perkins makes good engines, and there's a pile of them that I don't know who makes a good engine. So comment down below on little diesels, 4 cylinders, 5 cylinders even, that you've swapped down below. Comment down below and give the guys some good info on, you know, I've done this swap, head over this forum. There's lots of information on this engine which would make a perfect swap for your half ton. If you've completed your swaps, head over to Drive Tribe and post your swap and your pictures. We'll talk it over on the next live chat. We'd love to see all of your swaps and builds. And definitely head over to our Facebook group if you have any questions whatsoever. If you're into a build already, if you need parts, if you need advice, there's a pile of good, knowledgeable people out there that are willing to help and share information to make a sensible, economical, cost-efficient swap for your 1/4 ton or half ton. Guys, a 6BT is not the right fit, but the proper fits are in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, listening to me rant. Here we go.